Welcome to GT Official. This is a page where various past questions are going to be breaking down for you to aid understanding. So we are going to solve past question that was taking place in 2021 on economics for business. So in this question, we are going to answer. We are going to do section A and section B. The section A contains 30, which is multiple choice question, and then the section B2 contains 30, which is the theory part. So the section B, we are advised to answer only 2 questions. So I'll be starting with the section B. After that, then I add up with the section A. So here, starting with the question 1, I'm going to read the scenario out, and then I'll also project it for you to see and also go through. Saboba is a small town in the capital of Saboba district in the northern region of Ghana. The primary economic activity in this town is farming. Tribes such as Kokombas, Kotokoli, Chakosi, and Dagombas can be found in this district. 2 products, quinoa and pube, enjoy high patronage in this district due to their quality and accessibility. Assuming the demand and supply function for quinoa in Saboba are given respectively as quantity demand is equal to 400 minus 0.2p, whilst quantity supply to is given by 350 plus 0.3p. So here, where our quantity KOD equals quantity demand, okay, and then our QS is our quantity supplied, okay, and then our P is equal to our price, okay. So here, let me continue reading, starting with the A. I, determine the equilibrium price and quantity of quinoa. Okay, so the question A, I states that we should determine the equilibrium quantity and price. So AI. Here, before you can start to determine the quantity, the equilibrium quantity and the equilibrium price, you have to equate the 2 equations, which is the quantity demand equation and the quantity supply equation, to get your equilibrium quantity and the equilibrium price. So you state that at equilibrium, quantity demand equals quantity supplied, like this. So when you are done with this, you equate them. We have 400 minus 0.2p is equal to 350 plus 0.3p, like this. Now we are done equating. It's left with the normal or the basic mathematics that we usually do. You group like terms and then you find p. So here, 400 minus 350 equals 0.3p plus this will come, making it positive, 0.2p, like this. Here, 400 minus 350, you get 50 equals, this will give you 0.5p, like this. So you divide here by 0.5, here too by 0.5. Then you come and get p equals, you point this on your calculator, and then you get 100 cedis. 100 cedis. So don't forget, P is price. So we are always advised to bring our currency sign. Okay. So our P is 100 cedis. Then because we are having our P now, we have to also look for the quantity demand. Okay. So substitute P equals 100 into quantity demand, okay, like this. So we come and get quantity demand equals 400 minus 0.2 times 100. Don't forget we said we are substituting P into the equation. So we will get 400 minus 0.2 times 100. Let me point and see what we will get. 0.2 by 100. You get 20. So here 20 like this. 400 minus 20. You will get 380 quantity demand. So don't forget, here too you add units. Okay, so you come and then draw your conclusion. After getting your quantity demand and then the price, you draw your conclusion by stating that, therefore, the equilibrium quantity, the equilibrium quantity demand and price are quantity first. So 380 units, 80 units, and 100 cities respectively. Like this. So you are done with your question AI. So let me move on to the question AII. It says that determine the new equilibrium price and quantity of clean. Okay, so here the question AI says that we should determine the equilibrium price and quantity of clean. But the B, you see that we have something on the top above the this in the II, which says that the District Assembly of Saboba, in its quest to improve their revenue streams, impose a specific tax of 20 cedis on clean. So when you meet something like this, it is in two forms. It's either you meet subsidies or tax, but this one they've given us the tax. So for tax like this, you deduct the tax amount from your supply equation, which is the price. Then when you go and meet the subsidies, you add it to your supply equation, which is the price. So here we have tax. So tax, we, as the II states, that we should determine the new equilibrium price. So don't forget, this is old equilibrium price and quantity. So II. So quantity supplied will now change like this. It's equal to 350 plus 0.3 P minus 20 cedis like this. Okay, so here you do the basic mathematics, which is 350 plus 0.3 P minus this will also give us I think 6. Yeah, so when you come this 350 minus 6, you get 344 plus 0.3 P to be our new quantity supply equation. Okay, so it says that we should find we should determine the new equilibrium price and quantity. So we have our new quantity supply equation. We have to equate them again to find the new equilibrium price and quantity after the tax imposement. Okay, so here at new equilibrium price, equilibrium, at new equilibrium, okay, our quantity demand is equal to our new quantity supplied like this. And we have our quantity demand to be 400 minus 0.2 P is equal to new quantity supplied equation 2 is 344 plus 0.3 P like this. Then we solve it again for our new price and the new quantity. Okay, so here 400 minus 344 is equal to 0.3p plus 0.2p. Okay, so here this minus this, we will get 56 is equal to 0.5p, like this. Okay, so this divided by 0.5 divided by 0.5, like this. So let me point it and see what we will get. 56 divided by 0.5. Okay, so we will get, let me take this one off. So let me just state my quantity demand again so that in case we need it. 0.2p, quantity supplied 350 plus 0.3p. Okay, so here we will get new price equilibrium to be 112, okay, cedis. So 112 cedis. Then let me bring our currency sign, 112 cedis. Then substitute P E equals 112 into quantity demand. Okay, so we'll put this into the demand equation again. Quantity demand equals 400 minus 0.2 times our P is 112, like this. So quantity demand is going to give us 400 minus 0.2 by 112 will give us minus 22.4, like this. So 400 minus 22.4 will get quantity demand to be 377.6. Okay, so our new quantity demand, then our new quantity, our new price. Okay, yeah. So after this, you come and also state that therefore the new equilibrium price and quantity are prices 112 and we had our quantity to be, let me add unit here, 377.6 units respectively. Let me write it here. Respectively, like this. So you are done with the II. Okay, so let's move on to the III. Okay, which is the third one. Determine the distribution of the tax burden between the producer and the consumer. So now we are going to determine how the producer and the consumer will share the tax amount among themselves. Okay, so we are going to see the one who will bear more and the one who will bear small. So here, let's start with the III, tax sharing. Let me write it in that way. Tax sharing, like this. So let me start with the consumer share. And then consumer share is always equal to new new equilibrium price minus old equilibrium price, like this. So let me take this side off. So here our new equilibrium price is consumer share. New equilibrium price is 112 minus old equilibrium price, that one was 100. Okay, so here consumer share is equal to 12 cedis. 12 cedis. Okay, then our producer's share. Producer's share of the tax is also equal to, because we have the consumer share, we can simply deduct it from the tax amount. So it's also equal to tax amount minus consumer's share, like this. Okay, so our tax amount was 20 cedis. So minus consumer share to, we've gotten 12 cedis, like this. So producer's share is equal to 8 cedis. Okay, so they ask you to determine how consumer and producer are going to share the tax. So here you also draw your conclusion that therefore the producer and consumers share of the tax are producer first, so don't forget in that order: 8 cedis and 12 cedis respectively. So don't always forget to add your conclusion. Okay, let's move on to our next question, which is the IV. Our next question also says that based on your solution to C above, infer the elasticity of demand for King. So here we are going to monitor the two parties who distributed the tax amount among themselves. The one who had most to base on that and make our conclusion. And we can all bear witness that the consumer's amount was more than the producer's amount. So you just make your conclusion by saying that, therefore, since the consumer's tax amount was more than the producer's tax amount, the elasticity of demand is inelastic. Okay, and we all know that inelastic is always less than 1. So when you draw your demand curve inelastic, the quantity will be less than the price, so the price will go more, the quantity will be small. So here, since the consumer bear large amount of tax, the elasticity of demand is inelastic. Okay, so you are done. So at this point, it's trying to tell us that producers are more price sensitive. Okay, so let's move on to our next question, which is the V. Okay, so at this point, it's only one question, the IV, 1 mark, sorry. So the IV and the V, they all contains 1 mark, 1 mark. So here it says that calculate how much revenue the district assembly of Saboba would generate from the imposition of the tax on kin. Okay, so here we are going to look at how much the district assembly will generate from the tax they imposed. So here V, like this marker. District assembly revenue. So here our district assembly revenue will be equal to tax amount multiplied by our new equilibrium quantity. Okay, so our tax amount to is 20 cedis by new equilibrium quantity was 344.6, like this. Okay, so here when you multiply this, let's point and see what we get. Oh, I think it was 377, sorry, 77.6, like this. So when you multiply, you get 7,552 Ghana cedis. So don't forget to bring your currency sign. Okay, so let's make our conclusion that therefore the district assembly revenue is 7,552 Ghana cedis. So we are done with the question 1A. Okay, so let's move on to the question 1B. It says that at the equilibrium price of kin as determined in AI above, the quantity demanded of PUG is 240 units at the new equilibrium price of kin as demanded in AII above. The quantity demand of PUG falls by 20%. Baba lives and works in Saboba and receives an income of 1,000 Ghana cedis. At this income level, Baba demanded 24 units of kin. Baba's income rises by 25% and now he demands 16 units of kin. It says that determine the cross price elasticity of demand for kin and PUG and interpret your results. Okay, so here, let me clean this one. So here we are going to look for the cross price elasticity of demand. The cross price elasticity of demand. Okay, so here he demanded 240 units, and it stated that it falls by 20%. Okay, so you apply 20% to this 240 units. 240 by 20%. Oh, sorry for that. 20%. Here we will get 48. Okay, so 40 to know the quantity amount, the quantity that was left, you deduct this from 240, you get 192 units. So now that we have the unit, let's look at the change in quantity and demand. So the percentage rather. So percentage, but before I go to this, you see cross elasticity of demand. It is always being solved that cross price elasticity of demand is equal to percentage change in quantity demand over, let me get quantity, percentage change in quantity x over percentage change in price y, like this. So when you expand this, then you come and get your qx2 minus qx1 all divided by py2 minus py1 multiplied by our previous price, which is py1, over our previous quantity, which is qx1, like this. Okay, but then here, because they give us in percentage, I'll be using this one straight instead of this. Okay, so don't get confused, it's the same thing. When you expand this, you get this. Okay, so here, change in our percentage change in this is quantity. Quantity is equal to minus 20%. The reason why it is minus 20% is that the 240 is equal to 100%. Okay, so now it has fallen by 20. So 100% minus 20, you get 80. So this is the 80. 80% of the unit is this one. Okay, so to get the percentage change, you just deduct 100 by the 80, then you get your minus 20%. Okay, so then don't get confused. And then let's look at the percentage change in price. Percentage change in price. So it says that the price was 100, then it went to 112 cedis, like this. Okay, so here our percentage change to will increase by 12%, but then before we get that, let's deduct this from this, which will be 112 minus 100, giving us 12. Okay, 12 cedis. So 12 cedis, to get your percentage, 12 out of 100, your old price by 100%, giving us 12% to here. So cross price elasticity of demand, will give you percentage change in quantity over percentage change in price, which is minus 20% by over 12%. So let me point this on my calculator and see what we will get. So we'll get minus 1.67. Okay, minus 1.67. So here it seems they stated something there, and I want us to take a look at it. It says that determine the cross price elasticity of demand for King and Puke and interpret your result. So we had this. So the moment you see cross, you ask yourself that what comes into your mind. It is always it is always complementary goods and then the substitute goods. Okay, so complementary goods, they are always negative. Okay, and the substitute goods too are always positive. So the moment you had your final result to be this, it means that your goods was complementary goods. So to interpret your result, you just state that therefore the cross price elasticity of demand. I'm just writing this because I want us to speed up. So when you are on the listen. When you are writing exams, make sure you write it in full. Cross price elasticity of demand is a complementary good. Okay, yeah, it's a complementary good. So we are done. So let's look at the II. It says that determine Babet's income elasticity of demand for clean and interpret your results too. So here it was cross. The other one too is income. So this one too, the moment you see income, you have to put it in mind that at the end, your result, you are going to interpret whether it is normal goods or inferior goods. So here, he stated that his income is 1,000 Ghana cedis, okay, and then he had an increment of his income, which was, I think, he stated 25% good, 25%. So you multiply 25% by this 100, 1,000 by 25%, which will give you 1,200. Let me point it and see. Seems yeah, 1,250,000. Okay, so we have 1,250 like this. So percentage, that one, so I'll be using the percentage. So percentage change in quantity over percentage change in price like this. So our percentage change in income. So the percentage change in the income will be change in the income will be 25%. Okay. Yeah, so the percentage change in the quantity. So it also says that 24 units. Okay. So 24 units, and his income also increased to 25%, and now he demanded 16 units. Okay. So here it means that the quantity has reduced. So 24 to 16. So you divide, you subtract this from this, which will be, you subtract this from this rather, sorry, so which will be 16 minus 24, giving us minus 8. Okay, so percentage change in quantity will be minus 8 divided by 24 by 100, which will give us, so here, this will also give us minus 33.33. Okay, so if you get this, it's also okay for you. So income price elasticity of demand will also give you the quantity first, which is here like this. We will get minus 33.33 like this, all divided by our percent. Sorry, let me bring percentage sign here. Here too will be 25%. Okay, so you point this on your calculator and you will get minus 1.33. Okay, like this. So you get minus 1.33. So here it also stated that we should interpret our result. So here, as I said earlier, the moment you get -2 for income, it is telling you that your goods was also inferior goods. If it is positive, then it means it is normal. But since it is negative, it is inferior. So therefore, the income price elasticity of demand is an inferior goods. Okay, yeah, so we are done with the question 1. So let's continue with the question 2. So the question 2 says that explain the following factors as determinant of demand using appropriate diagrams. Okay, so I states that income of the consumer of the consumer. Okay, so we are going to explain this with a diagram. Okay, so here I'm not going to do everything for you, but I'm just going to give you the guidelines that you can use to explain the diagram when you draw it, okay, at the exam hall. So income like this, as I said earlier in the question 1, when the more you hear income, it means your goods are always going to be normal or inferior goods. Okay, so here the income affects your normal goods and the inferior goods. So you jot it down, normal goods. Then the other one too is inferior. Inferior goods. Okay, so here then you ask yourself that when the consumer income increases, what happens to the normal goods? For the explanation of normal goods, it says that the demand for normal goods increases when consumer income also increases, which means that the demand curve for this particular question for normal goods, it will shift right. And then the inferior goods also says that demand for inferior goods also falls when consumers income also increase, which also tells us that if it will decrease too, then it means that the demand for these inferior goods will shift left. So we are done with it. You just draw a diagram, and then at the end you just use the diagram to explain it. So here I'll draw the diagram, oh sorry, like this. Okay, you indicate your price, your quantity, your 0, then this will be D0 like this. So for normal goods, it will shift right, which will make it D1, and then for D1 here too. So for inferior goods, it will also shift back, which will make it D2 like this. So when you are explaining, you start by saying from the diagram above, okay, then you start the when consumer income increases, it motivates the consumer to demand more of the normal goods, which enable the demand curve to shift from D0 to D1. And then when consumer income also increases, since it leaves the inferior goods and go in demand for this, the demand for inferior goods will also fall, which will enable the demand curve to shift from D0 to D2. Okay, so we are done with this. It's just a simple thing that you have to take note of it and understand it by yourself. Use your own English and then write it. Okay. Price of related commodities. What is also supposed to come into your mind is that here the goods too are substitutes and then complementary goods. Okay. So here for substitute goods, you state them so that you don't forget. Okay, let me write this first. Price of related commodities. One is substitute goods, and the other two is complementary or joint. Complementary goods, like this. So here, sorry, my diagram will be like this. So my normal demand curve will look like this, D1. Okay, so here, when you check substitute goods, let me give example. Milo and then Bonvita is a close substitute goods. So an increase in price of Milo will let consumers shift their demand to Bonvita, which will let the demand curve go right. Okay, so it will shift right, making it moving from D1 to D2. Let me make here D0 to D1 like this. And then complementary goods too. They are goods that they work together. Okay, that's how I would say it. They work together. Example two is car and then petrol. So an increase in petrol, in price of petrol, will lead to a demand for of car. Okay, so here too, the demand curve will shift backward like this. E2. Okay, so here too, if you are explaining, you just take the meaning of these ones, you use the diagram, then you explain. Simple. Okay, so we move on to the other one because time is not on our behalf. The other question too says that price of the commodity itself. So price of the commodity itself, that is I of the commodity itself, like this. So here, one thing you have to take note is that the law of demand, the demand is that the higher the price, the lower the quantity demanded. And the lower the price, the higher the quantity demanded, all things being equal. But here it says the price of the commodity itself, meaning that after the production of the goods, there's nothing that has been attached to it. So here, the demand curve is going to remain stable. Nothing will occur. It won't shift forward or back. Okay, so here you just draw the demand curve. You indicate D0, D0. Then you use it to explain using the law of demand, and then you explain it. You get your full marks. Okay, so let's go to the B. Let me clean this. So the B2 says that there's a passage there. I'll be projecting it for you to see. It says that cassava is the main commodity in the economy of Dumpusi. Given the hardship in the economy, the government increased the salary of all employees in Dumpusi. Following this intervention, the number of cassava producers also increased in the community. In a class discussion, your economics lecturer said these two events would result in an increase in equilibrium price of cassava. Mary, your classmate, argues that the price will rather decrease. With the aid of a diagram, explain the possible effects of the two events on equilibrium price and quantity, assuming the salary increase has a greater impact on cassava if normal is a normal good. Okay, so here we are going to use another diagram to explain this scenario. Two things here, which is increase in salary, in the salary, in their salary. Let me make it in that way. And then, so when their salary increased, the number of farmers also did what? Increase. So cassava farmers increased. Or our diagram, our quantity is here, 0. Then our price too is here. Okay, so it says that we should check the equilibrium price and quantity. So here, this is our demand curve, and then our supply curve too is here. So Q0 like this, P0 here too. So this equilibrium. Okay, demand and then supply like this. So when there was an increase in their salaries, the farmers increased, which resulted in an increase in the cassava producers. So it increased, making the demand curve shifting to right. Okay, so this will be D1, D1, D0. Okay, here. So you can see that we have a new equilibrium point, which is here. So it means that the quantity of demand also increased to Q1. And then our price to also increase from P0 to P1 like this. So when you draw this, you use it also to explain the increase in their salaries, which made the farmers also increase. So this, you base on this and make conclusion that therefore the lecturer is correct. You are done. Okay, yeah, so we are done with the two. We are done with the question 2. Okay, so we'll move on to the objectives, and then we solve them and we bring it to an end. So with the objectives, it says that provide only the correct answers which correspond to the letter A to D in your answer booklet. So question number 1, which of the following is a positive economic statement? A says that increase in price of oats results in low patronage. Banks should reduce lending rates as a result of a cut in the policy rate. C, secondary school education should be free. D, the cocoa seller ought to reduce price. And here you can identify the correct answer to be A, because it says that increase in price of oats results in low patronage. And this one also goes with the demand and supply, the demand curve, or the demand and the supply curve, which says that the demand curve says that the law, it says that the higher the price, the lower the quantity. So when the price of an oat increase, its demand will fall. So it is A. Then B, the question 2 also gives us that which one of the following statements best defines inferior good in economics? A, a good of lesser quality than a substitute good. B, a good for which the demand falls as income rise. C, so with this one, I will not even read all of them. The question 2, B gives us the definition of the inferior goods. It says that a good for which the demand falls. It demand falls when income also increase. Question 3, market equilibrium occurs when A, the force of demand and supply oppose each other. B, a market price just equates quantity demand and quantity supply. Question 3.2 is also B, because equilibrium occurs when you equate the two quantities, the quantity demand and the quantity supplied. Question 4, if the cross elasticity of demand between coffee and tea is positive, an increase in price of tea will shape the demand curve for A, tea rightward, B, tea leftward, C, coffee rightward, D, coffee leftward, and we can identify the correct answer, which is C. So question 5 also says that a firm's decision to shut down production is based on the relationship between A, average cost and total cost, B, price and average cost, C, price and average cost, D, total cost and marginal cost. And the correct answer is C, price and average cost. So the decision of a firm to shut down their business, it depends on the price and the average cost, because when the price that you use to produce the goods, if it is higher than the average cost, then it will tell you that you have to shut it down. But if it is lower than it, then you still get some, although you might not make profit, but that one will still motivate you that if you produce longer, you can make something. Okay, so question 6, all of the following cost curves are U curve except A, average cost curve, B, average fixed cost curve, C, average variable cost curve, and then D, marginal cost curve. So the correct answer to is B, average cost curve. So question number 7, the price of a perfect competitive firm is same as the firm A, average fixed cost, B, average variable cost, C, marginal cost, D, total cost. And we can identify the correct answer, which is C. So our marginal cost is always the same as the price in perfect competitive market, or firm. So there is a scenario and a diagram there that we are supposed to use to explain answer question 10 to 12. So the diagram below shows for a firm SYZ, per unit cost and revenue, as well as cost and revenue curves and quantities of goods produced or sold. Use the diagram to answer question 10 to 12. So here we can see that we have our curves there. So 8 says that identify the curves W1, W2, and W3 on the diagram above. A, marginal cost, B, average cost, and the other one too is marginal revenue. B, you have average cost, marginal revenue, and marginal cost. C, marginal revenue, marginal cost, and average cost. D is marginal cost, marginal revenue, and price. And then we can see that it is A, because the W1 is marginal cost, and then W22 is average cost. Then W32 is marginal revenue. So 9 says that what kind of market is the firm operating? We can see from the diagram that the firm is operating perfect competitive. That's why I will not read it. Perfect competitive, which is C. So 10, given price, cost and equilibrium quantity as 10 cedis, 8 cedis, and 6 units respectively. From the diagram, determine the profit of the firm. So we are going to determine the profit of the firm, and after calculating profit is being calculated by multiplying your price by the quantity to get your total revenue. Then you deduct your cost minus your revenue. So when we do this calculation, we will get our answer as 12, which is B. So the other one too, there is a scenario there. It says that Jack Limited operates a tile cement business in a location in Accra. The demand and supply of the tile cement data has been collected and the following demand and supply functions has been generated. Use the demand and supply functions to answer question 13 to 16 below. So quantity demand is given as 50 minus 0.35p, quantity supply 10 plus 0.25p. 11. Determine the equilibrium price and quantity for Jack Limited. So here you create the two equations, quantity demand and quantity supply. Then when you equate, you get your price to be 66.67 and then the quantity to be 25.67, which will give you B. Then 12. Suppose the government had just introduced new tax of 0.9 cedis on the supply of cement tiles in Ghana. Determine the new equilibrium price and quantity. So here you deduct the tax amount from the supply curve, the price. So when you deduct and then you get your new supply curve, you equate it to the old quantity demand curve. Okay, then you do the normal calculations to find your price and the quantity, and here you get the new price to be 67 series 0.4 and then quantity to be 26 series 54 pesos, which is A. 13. Using the price and quantities in question 13 to 14, determine the value for the point elasticity of demand for jacket. So here elasticity of demand, okay, here you get A, which is 0.89. And 14, the telecommunication industry can best be classified as A, perfect competition market, B, monopoly market, C, monopolistic competition market, D, oligopoly market. And here we can find our answer to be D, which is oligopoly market. Okay, so telecommunication, they are the only they provide us these things. They are the only firm here. We don't have them many. Okay, and that explains the definition of oligopoly market. 15, which will be the last one, then the rest you also get time and go through them yourself. So 15 says that which of the following equations represent marginal cost? A, marginal cost is equal to average fixed cost plus average variable cost divided by quantity. B, marginal cost is equal to change in total cost divided by quantity. C, marginal cost is equal to change in total cost over change in quantity. D, marginal cost is equal to fixed cost plus average variable cost divided by change in quantity. And here we can find the correct answer, which is C. Marginal cost is equal to change in total cost over change in quantity. So this is the end of our lesson. If you are new on this page, I will urge you to like, subscribe, and then you follow the channel so that anytime we introduce new past questions or we solve more questions, you will get them as soon as possible. Thank you. This is GT Official. Bye.